Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, they're just 73 days until Christmas 2022. Oh, it's so good to see you all here. We're deep into the pre-season for Santa Claus this week. We're editing portraits, getting those ready for many of our Buckeye Santa members, and scheduling Santa visits. We're planning for our online virtual visits this season as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Many of you, some of you, have been part of our previous seasons doing online visits. So if you'd like to continue doing that, let me know, and we'll be sharing that out soon. And I see Matt Risman give me a hard time in the chat. I know Matt is a big part of the Echo Base network as well, and I have been defending my intro because when I listen to Echo Base, you got to go to a whole concert before you get their show. Their show just comes at the end of the concert, so really it's the concert you're there for, and then you get a little Echo Base at the end. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's my spin on it. And it's fun because I love the guys over at Echo Base Network. Coach and Nick are just hilarious. Yeah, Matt, you look at Matt trying to send him. It's a pre-show, not an intro. Well, that's what I've got. I've got a pre-show. My pre-show is much shorter than theirs. They're just giving them a hard time because they're great guys. And Matt's here defending them. So that's why I've got to do that. And I've got my friend, Imagic Maker, with me here. How you doing, my friend?
Hola, I'm good.
I'm good. What I was going to say about that is when I was in college, I was a music major. I was school music, and one of the weekends that we had, there was a Wynton Marsalis concert up in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was going to school in southern Kentucky, and Wynton Marsalis is a well-known trumpet player and just a brilliant artist. And so we went to see one of his concerts. We drove like 6 hours to get there, and went to the concert and listened to, sat there for like a 2-hour concert. And Wynton Marsalis played about 20 minutes of the 2-hour concert. And so that's what I look at when I watch EBN. It's like, okay, it's like going to a Wynton Marsalis concert. You're there to see Wynton Marsalis, but it's only 20 minutes of the show. It's it's good fun. We've got some things to talk about today. Yeah. Imagic Maker sounds like an Apple software. That's because he's using the Apple iPods, right?
Yeah. We got new Apple hardware.
That's good.
It's not brought to you by the letter I. That is the I of Imagic.
That is the I. That's right. Like Imagine. It's Imagine and Magic put together. Imagine and Magic.
Right.
That's how that come about. Just for anybody curious about that. There's something I do want to talk about, and I was chatting a little bit with Baymax before the show today about how I often go in a little bit hot on the prequels. They're not my favorite. And he calls me out every time I do that. He says, "Hey, Santa, take it easy on the prequels. A lot of us like them, and it's not cool when you do that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I want to put a little bit of a spin on it today, and you all in the chat, you participate as well. Favorite prequel character, side character, not a main, so not Anakin or Padme or Obi-Wan. I would even take out of that maybe, but no, I'll just leave it there. Like not one of the favorites. Who's your favorite supporting character? Of course, we know Meg loves the Yaddle, and she's super hyped over Tales of the Jedi, exploring more of Yaddle's story. Planet Fitness, the younglings. Sebulba, Sebulba.
Mhm.
A Magic Maker. Who was one of your favorite from the prequel era?
Well, I guess Mace Windu is a good one. I like Mace Windu.
Mace.
I like Jedi. I, I,
He's a
I like
bit
Jedi.
of an a
He's
hole
not a
though.
main. He's not. Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
an a-hole, so it's okay.
You associate with him really closely. Is that it?
and, and when he gets mad, his he doesn't say it in Star Wars, but I mean, Samuel Jackson uses one of the words I use when I get mad. When I lose control of my mouth, that's a word that comes out regularly.
that's,
I don't lose
that's
control of my mouth too
fantastic.
often, but if you push me,
A lot of you are listing a lot of great characters. So I see, Grievous. Grievous is my least favorite. I'm really that dude. Uh, just and it wasn't made better by the Clone Wars animated series. Not my favorite. But there's Watto. That's good. Those are good. Those are good. There's I want to talk a little bit about Jar Jar Binks. We kind of talked about him just briefly before we came on the live stream. Um, Jar Jar Binks, of course, there's the Darth Jar Jar theory out there. That's a brilliant theory. I really, it's a fun one to explore. But I think Jar Jar Binks, yeah, Dooku. I love Dooku, especially since I've read his novel. I've read and watched the Clone Wars animated series. Count Dooku is up there for me.
they really should have
But
picked a different name. Though Dooku just sounds too much like poop.
that's true. Dookie, right? Dookie.
Dooku.
If that's your nickname, Count Dooku. Oh, look at little Dookie over there. Isn't he cute?
No,
not, not,
it's like no wonder you went bad.
right, right. And all the kids in the playground call you little Dookie. That's not a good. That's not a good thing. That's. But Jar Jar Binks, though, I think had a lot of potential. And as critical as I've been of the prequels, Jar Jar Binks got a lot of hate back in the day. He's become more popular recently, and I think a lot of people would love to see Ahmed Best reprise Jar Jar Binks in a Disney Plus series. They would love to see his story and just to let Ahmed Best know that his character has aged well among the fandom. And speaking of that, Ahmed Best tweeted out, I think it's time for my version of how it all went down. And it's his untitled one-man show by Ahmed Best. And he hashtagged Jar Jar Binks, Star Wars fandom, prequels, one-man show, my story, and Darth Jar Jar. I love that he tagged Darth Jar Jar right there in it. So I think that this could be a ton of fun. And I don't know if it'll have, like, if this was just him having fun, right? He's just tweeting this out as a humorous piece, or if it's an actual thing that he's going to do. No clue. But if it is an actual thing he'd like to do, would Lucasfilm actually join in and make it official? Like, do this under the banner of Star Wars, or does he have to do this as a one-off on his own kind of thing? What do you think?
Well, I guess it depends on how much they think they can make off of reprising, the prequels. I think if they think they can make good money out of it, they will absolutely do it. And and the software for that's getting cheaper, so it's not like it's as expensive as it was then.
True.
And yeah, and I don't have an issue with Ahmed Best, grifting off his Jar Jar career. I mean, he's trying to make his name and still come back as an actor, and he's been doing it. I mean, I think when he did his story about feeling, that made people feel sorry for him, that opened up new doors of opportunities for him, windows of opportunity, new doors, and that's what that's what they're
I
there to make
I've
money. I mean, so I
I've
don't
got
have an
to
issue with it.
I've got to step away for 1 second
I got to
because
do a lot of talking by myself. Okay, here we
X-Wing
go.
jumped in here and he's like, just open it. I can't take it anymore. X-Wing did something extremely generous for me as a gift, and it arrived a couple weeks ago. We've been trying to schedule a live stream together so that I can open this gift that he sent to me without while he's with me. All right, so that he could share in the discussion and conversation around it. But I get the feeling X-Wing's like my kids.
Why can't he log on right now and hop in for a few minutes so you can open it?
My youngest daughter, that'd be great. X-Wing, if you are available, like I know it's early, you're like probably at work. If you can take a 15-minute break or whatever, I'll grab it, pull it over here, and we'll bring you into the show. I'll open it with you with us. But my youngest daughter, she gets us Christmas presents. If she gets them in like December 11th, right? She can't wait until Christmas Day for us to open them. She's like, just open it. Just so we'll see. We'll see if X-Wing is available, and we can bring him in.
That's why I don't go shopping until December 24th.
Oh, yeah. See, there you go. That sounds like as good of an excuse as anything. So let me step away for just 1 second. I'm going to grab that package and set it over here. But you can address some of the chat while I'm away. Again, I'll just be right back. I'll be right back.
So he's handing the show off to me, guys. So you are all in trouble. So that means it is on. So since I have it to myself, I will complain for, let's see, a few minutes. What do I want to complain about? Somebody give me something to complain about.
Oh,
no,
time's
actually,
up.
Oh, darn it.
I've got the package right here. It's see-through because it's got blue markings on it, but we could do that. I like this. The Matt gave. If X-Wing can't make it, bring Risman in and have him do his best X-Wing impression. That would serve him. But let me take the link to join. I'll just DM it to X-Wing. And X-Wing, if you can join, I would just share the link with you. And if you can't join today, then the next time we live stream, I'll send you the link again. And one of these days, when you can join, we'll bring you in and we can do that. Hey, we've got another guest. Got another guest queued up here to join us.
Nice.
Mr. Jason.
What you talking about, Willis?
How are you,
Hello.
my friend?
How's it going?
Going well.
Good.
It's going well. So the Ahmed Best, I want to get back to that story. The Ahmed Best one-man stage show. What are your thoughts? And I know, Jason, you interviewed Ahmed recently, just a couple months ago, right?
A little while ago, yeah. He was doing like a digital like VR show in Los Angeles. Sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, he's into the stage. He does a lot of stage work, right?
He started in Stomp. He was in Stomp, and that's how they saw him to even offer him the possibility to try out to be Jar Jar in Phantom Menace. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you think Lucasfilm would sign on and help him create like a Jar Jar story, or just let him go on his own and do a one-man show?
I think they would stick their toe in the water. I mean, you can look at like Ahsoka Tano. If Ahsoka had crashed and burned in Mando, if it had been universally, disliked, if it didn't work, they've admitted that was just going to be a let's see how this goes moment. And so I don't think they would, but I think that we could see him show up in Mandalorian or something, and then they could see how do people react to it. I would have to imagine that if that's how they would go, they're very conservative in how they move forward with stuff. They don't generally go too wild. They try to offer what they think everybody wants. almost all the time.
So let me ask it this way: do you think he's just trolling, or do you think he'd actually do something like this?
He would do it.
No, I think he's fishing. He's fishing. That's exactly what it is. I think it's if he's fishing for his for the next job, and he should.
But this is no different than like what he's sort of putting out there. If it was to be, because let's say it's tongue in cheek a bit, and it's a one-man stage show, and it is him talking about being that character. No different than what Carrie did with things like wishful drinking and so on. So it depends on exactly what the slant of this is. I don't know anything about it. I just saw it for the first time when I got on right now. So I'm like, if it's just like something he does in LA or does like on a small tour and takes around, you know what I mean? Then I could just see him talking about his experiences. But if he's wants to play Jar Jar in something, I don't think they would allow him to be Jar Jar straight up. Like, I'm Jar Jar. This is my comedic one-man show. Is that what he's presenting? Because,
well, I mean, it's interesting the way that he did it, like with the hashtags, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, but that just to me looks like, hey, I was the guy who played Jar Jar, just so you know. And he even hashtagged it Darth Jar Jar, which when I interviewed him said he literally disdains it. He hates the idea. He basically in a roundabout way said it's basically a fandom menace kind of thing that they put together to try to like change everything about his character story. He's like, his character story is about an outsider who and stuff like that. And what they're doing when they're doing that stuff, they're turning him into the villain. And they're basically making the outcast loser kid the villain. He doesn't like it. So, but he did hashtag it. So social media attention, it's a hell of a drug.
So the Magic Maker, you say he's fishing, like trial balloon fishing, like how popular it is.
That's exactly right. So he's seeing how popular it'll be, and because nothing he wants to produce will happen without backing anyway. And if it starts to get backing and starts to get rolling on on interest, then he can present that to people who have the larger money. And why wouldn't he do that? That's marketing. That's how you do it.
It'd be interesting. So the next question is, if it was on the road and it traveled into a town nearby you, how far would you travel to go watch it live?
I'm going to LA to watch it.
How far would you travel? Would you travel 50 miles, 100, 250? How far?
It's more than
I go to
that,
LA or I go to Vegas. That's probably it.
Okay. Yeah, I'd go to Vegas if I was near Vegas. I'd go to Vegas if it was near Vegas, but that's just because I can do a lot of other stuff. And
exactly.
So it'd be interesting. The nearest city to me is Birmingham. So if it came through Birmingham, I'd come through there. I wouldn't go to Atlanta, but that's because I hate Atlanta.
Well, I hate Atlanta too. Oh, no offense to anybody here who's from Atlanta. You love it. It's just not the city for me.
I love Atlanta. I don't know what these guys' problem is. Hi, Atlanta.
He's losers.
Well, if you live in Atlanta. If you live in Atlanta, I think that you're crazy for living there. It's the worst city in the freaking country. I've been all around.
Where else am I supposed to start my like rap career and get my rap cred? So that's why I tried it. They didn't like my Star Wars rap, my Star Wars rhymes. They didn't like them though. They said
if I could drive an extra 50 miles to go around Atlanta, I would do it.
Absolutely, and I do. In fact, I drive as far away as I can.
Yeah. I drove through West Virginia and down the East Coast to not go through Atlanta, going to Florida, even though going through Atlanta is technically the shorter way. I'm like, not doing that. I'm not doing it. So I would travel to any of the 3 C's. So here in Ohio, we say the 3 C's. You got Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. I would go to any of the 3 C's to see Ahmed Best do My Story, whatever, the one-man show, Darth, Jar Jar Binks. I would go see him in any of that.
I would go anywhere but Florida, because Florida's like the toilet of the world. What?
Jason, oh, you're hilarious.
No, the one thing I
like Florida.
I think he's like no.
Are we supposed to? Are we trying to offend people today? Because let me say, who else can we insult? Insult.
Yeah.
Let's go to this.
We're trying to start a galactic civil war, starting here right now.
Speaking of California,
no, he might end up. He might end up being. I would imagine that Ahmed would end up being in a Dave Filoni thing though. First, I mean, Filoni used Ahmed Best in the Clone Wars, used Jar Jar in the Clone Wars more than once, and that was also during the George Lucas era. Once we got post George Lucas, we didn't see Jar Jar showing up in Rebels or any of the other shows, but also it's kind of an unexplored territory for that character where they would have to like really work him out and define him. But I think it's a possibility that we see him in one of those shows in some way first. Don't you think before they would do anything? Does that seem like
I do. I do. You briefly see him and people will be like, "Oh, it's Jar Jar." But I mean, I think if I remember correctly, it's been a little bit, but if I remember correctly, he's in Aftermath and where he's shown on the street and being completely a loser. And he's
not a loser. No. He's entertaining orphans, man. He's doing community service. He's Santa. He's doing what Santa literally does, which is make children happy.
Yeah, but they show him in a. They don't. The way that whole introduction is done, it's not done in a positive light for him, even though he's entertaining children.
Right, he's Jug. He's a street performer. He's making his living. Right.
But that's an assumption. It's an assumption that he's making, isn't it? Isn't it when you read it? Like for all we know, the guy could be like the president of Naboo, and he's going to do that at community service time. Like it's not. I haven't read it in a while, but if I remember right, it wasn't. They left the door open.
Well, I guess you're right because we didn't explore his character very much. We only saw him as a street performer and a brief interaction with him, and then they moved on. Right?
Like he might be that. He might be a Santa with this good heart, and he might be a programmer to pay the bills. Just saying, we don't know. Jar Jar might be doing that.
Exactly.
It could be my point of view. That's true.
Yeah. Look, I'm interested. We'll be watching his career with great interest. There you go, another prequel quote.
You love the prequels.
Just for Baymax, because he was giving me a hard time every time I kind of pick on the prequels. He's like, hey, take it easy on the prequels.
What's your favorite prequel? You both do.
Boy, oh boy. If I don't say Revenge of the Sith, then I'll be blacklisted forever. But
it's the best one.
Yeah, so I'll say that one. That one's probably my favorite. But the Phantom Menace is not bad.
The Phantom Menace is my favorite.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't like Attack of the Clones, and Attack of the Clones just is. I've tried to like it. I've tried to enjoy it. I've tried to find the redeeming quality on it, and the closest I can get is Dooku's story. But that's a stretch too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally
George feels the same way.
I think George did Jar Jar's character wrong. To be honest with you, I think he had the potential to be a really good character. And but I think he over sillified him and didn't take him into down a redeeming path. He put him on the path to really be the cause of all the problems in a sense. If you look at some things, and I think that's actually pretty sad for his character.
Yeah. I would like to see Ahmed Best reprise the role, and I think a lot of fans would like to see it now in retrospect. And I mean, they could put him in anything. He could be in Andor season 2, season 3. He could be in Ahsoka. He could be in any of these projects. The Mandalorian. There's no reason he couldn't be, because he's in universe during all of those. So it could happen. I don't know.
A serious Jar Jar and Andor, because you definitely couldn't put the silly one. It would be like, you're so different now.
Yeah.
Well, when you had your entire family blown up, you give up your
Well,
silliness.
we still saw him throughout the Clone Wars animated series, and
And he was still silly.
yeah.
Well,
So I don't think.
I actually asked Ahmed about this, and he did confirm that it was real. That they filmed the sequence for Revenge of the Sith at the end, where Palpatine meets with Jar Jar and thanks him for being his earliest supporter, and basically promises that he's going to be rewarded for all that he's done. So there was almost this idea by George at one point that he didn't follow through on, which is the important part to remember here. But that I think Jar Jar was going to become at one point sort of one of the fat bureaucrats who doesn't know what he's doing, who just a puppet who's been put into place. So there is a version of Jar Jar where he's that fat guy who has a heart attack in Andor last week, essentially, but in the Senate. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he messed with that concept, but he obviously didn't put it in the film. So George changed his mind on that from the George perspective.
Yeah.
But that's so many things they could do with them, though. I mean, if they
I want to talk a little bit about Meg's video today and the casting rumors that have come out.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is, as she said, that's until we get it from a bigger source or from an actual source. Maybe we'll wait to see how it goes. Oh, look who's made it! Oh, look who's here! Oh no! Oh, hello, Meg.
Hello there.
Really good timing. Before we go to your video from today, what do you think of the Ahmed Best tweet?
I think it's very interesting. I think he's got a lot of stories to tell about his perspective on everything. He played the best character in the prequels.
Well, I think that maybe the most underrated character in the prequels. Can we say that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But do you think the story would be like an in-universe story or a narrative about his experience?
That's a good question.
It'd be about his Delophalegats.
His what?
His Delophalegats.
My Delophalegats.
I thought I was going to mistake.
Come on! Fake ass Jar Jar fans. No, I'm kidding. I got it. That was that you made, though. Just saying,
I got it. No,
I'm kidding.
That's great.
There's only one of us who didn't get it.
Me. So, Meg, you covered this story this morning, and you talked about these casting rumors, right? The casting leaks. And you go, if you want the details of it, just go watch Meg's video. I thought you covered it really, really well, and there's no need to go through all of it. But it's interesting if true. And my favorite speculations you had coming out of this was Angelica Houston perhaps reprising Mother Tolson, right?
I wouldn't say reprising because she hasn't played her before, but yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, bring in the live action.
Oh, you're thinking that because of the Captain EO lady, where we talked about how she was like in
the Addams Family. Before. She gives off quite like, I don't want to know because she's an amazing actress, but like she's very good in the role of like creepy women.
Yeah, she is.
I would love to see her as Mother Towson. And did you make a connection between her and Elsbeth?
I did, because it seems like the Night Sisters thing is something they want to explore in Ahsoka. I think it's something that Morgan Elsbeth, what's her name, the actress who plays her, she mentioned it in one of the issues of Star Wars Insider. She was saying like, there's more to this character you're going to see. And she kind of alluded to the fact that it's her backstory. And I suppose Ahsoka's the perfect place to carry on from Chapter 13.
No, I never saw that interview, but I mean that was the speculation right when it came out because she has a ton of symbolism around her that is from the Night Sisters.
Yeah. And it would be great. It would be great. I think the vast majority of fans have no idea who Mother Talzin is or the Night Sisters. But to bring them from animated into live action and to introduce them to a majority of the, or a bigger portion of the fandom, would be a great way to perhaps expand Star Wars storytelling in live action in other projects. Because if you introduce it in a flashback, there's no reason you couldn't put it in another show in context. Even though we kind of know her outcome, we know her story from animated. I'd say the vast majority of people don't.
No, I'd like to see it.
As Matt Kev says, Ventress in live action would be awesome as well. I'll say I would love to see that story continue. What's the book? Meg, you may remember faster than I do.
Dark Disciple.
Where you see Ventress and
Quinlan Voss.
Thank you.
Well, you could have the story continue with Quinlan Voss, but you can't have it with Ventress. Ventress is dead. Sorry for the spoiler.
but that Dark Disciple novel, you see how that relationship continues. Again, how many fans have read that book? How many people know that story?
Like 2.
Right.
just you, Meg. I
Just
read
me and Santa.
I read through it real quick. I don't consider having read it. I think I cheated. I read it real quick. I was mad. I was like, this should have been a Clone Wars cartoon. I threw it down.
It would have been better as a Clone Wars arc, though. I'd like to see the
it was.
series.
Yeah. It was
intended to be.
Yeah.
No, I know it was intended to be. But...
They were. Yeah, I was just so mad. I was so mad.
Yeah. So I mean, it was going to be a Clone Wars arc. It wasn't, so they put it in a novel.
Limited series, Santa. Limited series. That's what I say.
I'm just saying, hey, you could put it into a Disney Plus live action series, and to go off what you just said, Jason,
and retcon the book, like Filoni's done with everything else.
Well, of course, if Filoni's going to do it, he'll retcon the book. No, I tease, but I'm actually in favor of seeing a lot of Star Wars publication brought into live action, either from comics, novels, whichever, and seeing those stories on screen. I'm not opposed to that at all, and I'm on the fence over seeing animated brought into live action, similar as Disney's been doing with their musicals, taking the animated, whatever, and putting it into live action. They've done that with The Lion King and Mulan and Little Mermaid's coming, all of those. Not to get into the political side of all that, but bringing the story from animated to live action, I'm not opposed to that either. I think you just get more eyeballs.
Can I say, though, like, a lot of those remakes were terrible. Like, I remember going to see The Jungle Book, and that was atrocious. And then I really had high hopes for Jon Favreau's The Lion King. And the worst part of it was James Earl Jones. He just sounds old. It sounds like they chose the first take of everything he says. Like in The Lion King, it's like da 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 da, like majestic, like the animated one, and then in the live action, he's like yeah, oh yes, but like he just sounds like a grumpy old fart.
Well, which is a good reason for him to retire, right? And give his voice license to Lucasfilm to use, so that you don't get old man Vader voice. You get, James Earl Jones at his prime voice that they can continue.
Who are those even for? Like I tried to watch those with my daughter, and she thinks they're stupid. She hates them. She's a little 7-year-old girl, and I'm like, when I'm watching, I'm like, who are these for? Are these just to keep selling to Disney adults? That like, is this like just an excuse to rebrand and sell a bunch of stuff to them again? Like, I already have my Beauty and the Beast mug, but now I've got my live action Beauty and the Beast mug. Like, is that
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Cashing in on nostalgia and member berries, right? Yeah. Like, I don't want to watch the cartoon version again, but I want to relive the story, and I feel like I can watch it in live action, which is, to me, is stupid. Like, just leave it what it was. The only one that I thought had a lot of potential was Mulan, because
I didn't see that one.
it was an adaptation of a different story. The one that made it into animated musical is its own story of Mulan, which has lots of tellings. And put it in live action is a different telling that has a long tradition, and not the musical. Don't bring in the stuff from musical. Tell a different version of the story. I thought had a lot of potential, and then they kind of mucked that up a bit as well.
I think they're always going to muck it up because they are trying to appeal to, just as wide a base fan without ticking anybody off and how it's told. So the result is you get a muddled, delineated story, and so what ends up happening is people are either just complain about it or just don't like the way that it just doesn't flow. And I think that's the real reason. I mean, people will claim it's all political, but it's really just this attempt not to set down on anywhere. So you just have this watered down story is what's happening.
But can we agree that seeing Ming-Na win in anything is a good thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was looking at Boba Fett, and I have to disagree. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, she was the best part about the Book of Boba.
Pretty much, yeah. Except because she didn't have her do anything. She was like, we couldn't get mad at her. So they can give that lady a role, like in the shows that she's in, though. I mean, she's hot. I'm with you there, but it's like there's just nothing to it. Yeah, I'm just with you now, Boba Fett. I mean, come on.
I'm looking forward to. I think you've been really fair about this, Jason. Is that her character is maybe the most overhyped, if you want to kind of put it in that context, in that we love Ming-Na's portrayal of this character, but the character has not been fully built out, right? We only have her kind of in very small pictures put together, but her character arc hasn't been fully developed. We haven't been able to see her character arc develop, and I would really love to see that.
You see, this is the problem I have with Disney Star Wars, the need to expand everyone's backstory. I kind of like that she's used in increments. I don't necessarily care about where she's from or her backstory.
See, when it comes to like I think we could remove it from backstory itself. My thing is she got shot in the tummy, picked up, and now she's Boba Fett's best friend for life. And they don't play upon the fact like, you saved me, therefore I'm with you. Or this, therefore it just is. I don't know what she wants. I don't know anything about her, and she's just there. It sort of has that 80s kind of like show. Like what did they compared it to Remington Steele, where they're like together and then they just are like as the show goes on. But after we've had her go through this many shows, like I said, I don't need to know, my parents were killed on the planet Zahast, and now I don't need any of that. I just need to know like what's she doing, because there's like 15 characters in that show, and absolutely none of them, even the main character, don't really. He like Boba. We keep joking. He wants respect. That's like the joke, because it's serious though. It is a joke. Yeah. Like the arc is a joke. That's how.
Right.
Like it's a first draft, and that's why I keep hoping. Like some people don't want a Boba Fett 2. I really want a Boba Fett 2, because I think that's where they can make it actually like work or it be something. I think they could enhance it. I think they could save.
Yeah, that's fear driven though. The not wanting the second Boba Fett 2 is fear driven. It's not they just don't have a lot of faith that what's going to come out is going to redeem it, and that's where.
Real quick, I want to bring up their Dork Side Toys is having a big sale today, and we're talking about Ming-Na Wen and talking about Fennec Shand. Ming-Na Wen Dork Side Toys is a great place for collectors to get figures. but they have a
Shill.
big sale. They have a big sale. You can get Fennec Shand vintage collection figure for $10 on sale now. It's a pretty good price for a very popular character. Dork Side Toys is the place to go to find that. So
Get yourself a Shand job.
just trying to earn my shield dollars, trying to increase the revenue.
See, the problem with action figures is I always I see an action figure I like and I'm like, if I buy this, what am I going to do with it? That's my problem. Whereas with Funkos, I just stack them endlessly. So everywhere is covered in Funkos. But with
I
action
know what I do
figures,
with the
it's like-
action figures. I buy one for storage and then one to bring out on the table and go, oh, look at me!
see, Jason, you're like this. I don't know. I don't always know what to do with 8 inches of plastic.
Yeah,
Pew 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 pew.
I do. Well, I was at Target last night, and they had like stacks of Galen Ursos for $6. The Black Series, the big ones, for $6. I don't know if that's easy to get, but he's everywhere here for $6.
I found a Kira for £2.
Speaking of good places to get figures from, all the cool stuff. Our good friend here is in the chat. He has he's got a great store there in London that you can get action figures, Star Wars figures.
What is his favorite? We're playing Jeopardy. What is his favorite Weird Al song?
What's the favorite Weird Al song?
Yeah, we were playing Jeopardy all of a sudden. And I just eat it. Remember, eat it.
Good.
That was great. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
The question I have for Dave Tree. Dave Tree is the owner of all the cool stuff. Dave, what line of toys makes you the most income? Is it Star Wars? Is it Marvel? Is it My Little Ponies? Is it what brings
line?
the revenue?
Cocaine. No.
It's
The white
definitely not Star
line.
Wars. I've noticed Star Wars toys don't sell as much anymore.
Well, the collectors, right? There's just not really kids getting them. But
I almost got the collecting bug this week. I had to fight it off. I saw that set that had those Dark Trooper guys from the Luke Skywalker and Mando season 2 episode.
Yeah.
And they had like that $75 set, with the things, and I don't like those guys in the show. I think they look kind of dumb. I was looking at the toys. I'm like, those are actually pretty rad. I don't know. I like an 8-year-old boy moment. And I was like, yeah. And I was like putting it in the cart, and I was like, no, what are you doing? You don't need this stuff. You don't need stuff. I didn't do it.
See if I can drag us back to.
There are definitely characters which I didn't like in the show or film, but that look really good in action figure form, like K2SO, for example. I wasn't too much of a fan of him in Rogue One, but he looks epic in like action figure form.
Yeah. My son, I got my son that big
I have
one.
like 3 of them. I mean, I'm with my son. We're like, oh, he loves the K2SO character, so I can't.
Yeah, Jack Specific K2SO was fun. That was a fun toy.
And Dave says in volume, Pokemon. Pokemon is the most popular, and that rings true with what I get requests for as Santa as well.
I believe it's
Right.
Pokemon. I believe it's called Pokemon. I think you're saying it wrong.
I think you're wrong.
Santa will be proud of me for this, but one of the only like Disney action figures I have is a 12-inch Ray.
Oh, I love that. I am very proud of that.
Is that what you named your 12-inch plastic?
Yeah, I call her Ray.
Yeah, I thought so.
She's got a bendy, protruding
What are
lightsaber.
you doing?
Hey, Bendums. Remember Bendums? How are those selling for you? Are those still selling? Bendums? Star Wars Bendums?
What are you doing? Star Wars stuff. So, Meg, anything else from the leaks that has you
Yes.
interested?
I do think there's credibility to them, and it's the same with the last time this guy reported on things. I don't really buy the young Ahsoka thing. I think he might just be guessing, but I definitely buy the Angelica Houston and the Brandon Suhu, because if you do a bit of research into what those guys have been up to, it kind of lines up quite well.
Excellent.
And I can just imagine Angelica Houston doing that at her age.
and I'm not debunking anything at all. I'm not saying this is like a debunk. I asked a buddy. I was like, "Has Angelica Houston been around?" He's all, "Not that I've seen."
Okay.
So
All right. All right.
Okay, but like if you see her walking down the street at her age, would you know it's her? If you're not
if
looking.
she was walking around the set down in Manhattan Beach at 2 miles an hour, they probably would know. You know what I mean? If she was filming, on Star Wars yet. That's the thing I don't know about is she supposed to have filmed or is she supposed to have been cast?
Well,
Like,
they say it's a small role.
Yeah. So
Well, and with
once
those,
again, I'm not debunking. I'm saying like I tried. All I got was I haven't seen her here.
well, in the way that they've been used in the volume, especially Dave and John, she could be in any of them, right? She'd just show up, do her scene, and be gone.
She could be a
That'd be
walking
that.
green screen.
Yes,
volume's so
yes.
good.
Yeah. So,
And how do we know she's not doing it over in Pinewood Studios on the other side where Meg is?
right.
No, it would be in Manhattan Beach if she was.
But
filming.
Jason, you also told us there was no Palpatine in Kenobi.
Oh, come on! You're gonna do that to me?
I'm just messing
Ouch.
around.
Burn. Oh.
And that was a minor role as well.
Hmm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Jason. Oh, that was great. That was great timing, Meg. So yeah, there's the burn. It was good.
You need a
Andor.
fire symbol that you can move around.
Yeah, Andor. We're halfway there. I told Baymax this morning on the thumbnail we should take advantage of Bon Jovi's. You know, we're halfway there. But Andor, we're halfway through the season. How are we doing?
We're halfway there.
Right, exactly. Just taking the pulse
Living
of
on a
it,
prayer.
I think that the fandom is yet to kind of really get excited about the show as a whole. I know those of us who are watching it seem to be really enjoying it, but as a whole, it seems to be not.
Where's Hayden?
maybe not as popular as we would hope that it would be, because it is, in my opinion, just fantastic Star Wars, fantastic storytelling, fantastic cinematography, fantastic acting, fantastic, all the way down the line. A very enjoyable show, but it's not really resonating and getting the buzz that maybe.
It's not for kids. I mean, and it's just not for. I mean, at the end of the day, it cuts out by design just a huge part of the like in my house. Like when Kenobi came out, me and my kids watched it like twice. Like every episode, we watched it twice. This one, my kids can't stay in it because they're kids. Like they could watch it in like 10-minute chunks.
Yeah, a Magic Maker. I know. Look, I've sat at the dinner table with your kids and fantastic kids. What are they thinking of it? Are they watching it?
The 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old is into it as much as me. The 7-year-old goes and wants to read, which means that he really doesn't like it.
Yeah, I have a 7 and an almost 9-year-old, and like that's kind of where like my almost 9-year-old enjoys it, and then but can't stay in it. My 7-year-old daughter kind of gets just starts drifting off on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's like by its design, but everybody who we know who is sort of like, I think for the most part, most of the grown-ups seem to like it though.
Yeah, I agree. And if XWing's able to join us, I think XWing's enjoying it a lot as well. So folks who have been really critical of the Disney Plus Star Wars series outside of Mandalorian, but Kenobi and Boba Fett have kind of been disenfranchised through some of the more recent shows, are into it. I've not heard
This
a lot
show
of criticism.
is like a turning of the tide. it really brought a smile to my face seeing X-Wing happy about this show, because he was really upset about Boba and Kenobi, and
Yeah.
the budget is clearly being used really well. Like, there was probably more of a budget in that scene with the eye in the sky than there was in the entirety of Kenobi by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And it just
Well-
feels like Star Wars. I know it's meant to not feel like Star Wars, but it inadvertently does feel like Star Wars. And episode 6 for me was like the best episode so far.
Yeah.
Well,
Magic Maker,
I
you
can
want to say?
I can say that there was a part of me in August where I was almost like, if Andor isn't good, I think I might be on the verge of writing off Star Wars after Kenobi. And I mean, that's how down Kenobi got me, actually. And I know it's probably shocking, with all the things we talk about, but I really did not enjoy Kenobi at all. I felt pretty awful. And so I came in this it was like, this is really got to be good, and I can't feel insulted by this story, and so I've enjoyed the story. I think it's been slow, but it's dropping things in the way that, for me, it really appeals to me, and so I think I'm a pretty typical OT kind of fan, ex-gen that grew up with it. And I think if you can appeal to me as a Star Wars nerd that has not liked every Star Wars that has come out, then I think that you're doing a pretty darn good job.
Yeah. And I said of episode 6 as a heist show, right? As a heist story, that it was perfect for me. I don't know that. I mean, it was so good. They set up the heist really well. The execution of the heist during just the show itself, right? And how things kind of fell apart. Their cover was blown, the escape, all of it. Just and the stakes. There's been a complaint from a lot of folks that Star Wars doesn't really have stakes anymore, right? Nobody dies. People get stabbed, they keep living. People, get yeeted off a cliff, they're still fine. Whatever. Palpatine gets down the shaft and blown up. He comes back. So there's a lot of complaint about people not dying, there not being any real stakes. But episode 6, there were plenty of them. Plenty. We saw
Lots of
some
steaks: sirloin, rump, T-bone, ribeye.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Exactly right.
I was imagining myself with a steak and then opening my mouth and going, "Nah," at you. I don't know why. I was like, I need to make that clip and just make that a steaks clip. But,
I just thought it was really well done. And
the thing is that Star Wars fans always overlook like the specifics of the genre of the piece.
right.
They want to apply one slant to all of it and say like it should all be Revenge of the Sith or it should all be Mandalorian. So this show, by its very nature, has to have actual, like, you can't have Darth Maul coming back in it. But in a Phantom Menace sort of genre, you can. Like, it's okay. But if we were to get to like the next arc of this and Tattoo Guy's back alive, because his hate kept him alive, it would be infuriating. But that's what's so good about their actual like rollout. This is what I keep championing, is it's like when you get down to Mando and Kenobi and Andor, like these shows are all different, and it's not accident. They're not just throwing stuff at the wall and going, "Wow, look how it came out." It's by like design, and that's what's so I think is special, honestly.
Well, you bring up an interesting topic, and I think I'd like to get all your impression on this as well. The Andor was advertised as being a spy thriller genre within the Star Wars universe, which is different, right? We're not used to spy thriller genre. We're the Western genre for sure, right? Space fantasy for sure. But this is the first time we've seen spy thriller, and that was a selling point for me. There's another show coming up that has been advertised as a different genre that has me equally intrigued, and that's Acolyte. Right.
Yeah.
Acolyte, that's a different genre. Again, what is it? I can't remember what they said it was. Daggone it.
They
just went
called it
blank.
a
Mystery.
something mystery, like a dark mystery or something along those lines. I know what you mean. There's a word they used.
Right.
It
I'm
was
trying to remember.
They
a
used
threat
martial
thriller
arts
mystery.
and mystery.
Yeah, martial arts. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see yet another genre brought in. What do you think?
I think it's great if you let the creatives do their thing without too much oversight from the higher ups who seem to really water down a lot of Star Wars stories. And even Tony said, like, Disney didn't really check in on us. We just kind of were left to our own devices. And that's why they can tell a story that's very consistent and stable. And that's what I really like about this show. I think with all of the previous shows, there were a lot of hiccups which you notice with certain episodes, but not this one. This one's very, very consistent. It's like the minute you're thinking, oh, what about X, Y, and Z? They answer that in their own time in the right way. So you're not left kind of, wondering, how is this going to piece together?
Yeah.
And I like that as I'm watching this show, like things that happened in the previous episodes actually mattered to what happens in, like, for instance, in this arc, Andor's hired. He's a hired gun, and he convinces Vale, take him because he's the one that's going to die. If anybody has to die, he's the one that we're paying to take the bullet. And so that's kind of how she like accepts him in the crew. When they're going in for the heist, she makes him take point. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It's like these like little tiny details throughout, like that even, or when the tattoo guy, whose name I can never remember, when he's supposed to be covering that one guy, he like shoots the guy. As soon as he says cover me, he shoots the guy and kills him, lets him run out, and then doesn't cover him anymore and lets him get killed. And it's like, so there's all of these like little details that I could rewatch, but where if I'm watching it all at once, I don't get mad that like 30 minutes later it forgot what it just did. The other shows do that all the time. And this one doesn't, because it's like it's made for analytical adults. And I think it's good to like satiate those little demographics or big demographics sometimes within the fan community. But I do think it might come back and bite it in the butt. Like when they want to go and they want to do like, hey, like let's make something just fun and dumb. This audience is probably going to get mad. So we're always going to be unhappy. That's the fun part about us.
So why do you think it's struggling views-wise compared to other Star Wars shows and just generally in the streaming game right now?
Kids is what I think. It's truly like what it is. Like I said, like with Kenobi, we would watch it a few times. And hey,
Look who
Excellent.
made it.
What's up, guys?
Hey, I saw episode 6. You did a real short, like 3-minute video that I thought was really well done. Give us your thoughts on that. And I have right here in my fingers, right?
Faraway lands. I'm so excited to see that thing.
I am too.
Yeah, episode 6 was good. They really needed to punch it up, and I thought they did. There was kind of a weird feeling because we waited so long for it that when it was over, there's this interesting thought of, well, what happens now? What happens next, right? We spent all this time building up to the job, and now we've got another half of a season. Where do we go from here? I think they need to probably continue to ramp up the consequences isn't the word I'm looking for. The stakes. Yeah.
No, it's absolutely about to happen. I mean, I think you're right. We are following a 3-act story perfectly to the T. This is it. So we had the end of 3 was moving past the threshold and going into the next step. This one, we've just reached the midpoint of the story. So now we're headed to the darkest night. So we're heading into this direction. So I think we're going to see lots of action. It's all going to end bad, and at the end of this next arc, and then we're going to have to overcome that in the beginning of the.
Is it a fruitcake?
And the TIE pilots loading into their ties. I mean, that was just like
brilliant. I love that.
This is fantastic. We've got a little paperwork here, but so just the other day, only one Kenobi. opened up a custom TVC blurg that he had commissioned.
Yours is
better. Oh, this has been. How long ago did you order this, XWing?
It's almost been a year.
Oh my! Oh, it's got blurred poo in it.
No way.
You guys think I'm kidding? Like, I wish you could see in here. There it is. Right? Can you see it? There's blurred poo. There's blurred poo in the package. Oh, that's hilarious! Right there. Blurred
Otherwise
poo.
known as chocolate chips.
Santa, I think you should invite Melvin onto the stream.
No. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! This is absolutely brilliant. Look, there's
Whoa, that's cool. Can I have it?
No. Look at
Wow.
So
Look
he
at that.
does, he does the paint, he does the build, and then he hand leather crafts the saddle and the reins and everything.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
Wow.
assaulted by that tongue, though.
Not for the first time.
Look, I mean, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, we've got the bit and the reins there for it. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness, XWing, this is going.
That's
in a
incredible.
place of prominence. It is. And
Does
and
it
just
feel
for
weighty or
scale,
does it feel pretty light?
it's relatively light. Let me just for comparison, like bring up. We've got this Mission Fleet blurg, right? That we got from Hasbro, just for scale comparison, right? Mission Fleet blurg, little tiny guy, right? This is probably twice the weight of this guy.
How much blurg can you bench press, bro? No.
It is just look at that. It's not even close. Like, come on, Hasbro. This is. I know that.
Are you really going there? Come on, Hasbro. Your 7-year-old toy for your blurg toy. What is this?
Well, look. I know that only one Kenobi brought it up, and I know that Tim Bosk's Bounty has been preaching it. I've been preaching it. These things exist. They have different colorations in them. Of course, I don't expect them to give us anything of this kind of quality. Right? I don't have any faith that they would give us a mass production line that has anything close to this kind of quality. Just the intensity in the eyes, everything. This is just absolutely brilliant. XWing, thank you so much, my friend. This is just absolutely gorgeous. I will be enjoying.
Santa came early this year.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I heard
just
him.
did.
I heard it in his voice just now.
Oh, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. It's made my day. Thank you, and I appreciate you coming on the stream. I know you're working, but it's great.
I think you're muted.
You're muted, XWing.
Oh man. Oh no.
Ah,
You need
come on.
to turn your
Come on.
S foil in attack position.
And I'm going to say I know for sure the only one Kenobi does not have blurred poo, right? Nobody else.
I dare you to eat it.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Oh,
They're
that
just
was
chocolate
fun.
chips, man. Put it in your cake.
I've got
That
blurred
is really
poo.
bad. The quality is really, really good on that.
It is. The paint on this. So I have to get hold of only one Kenobi. We'll have to chat about our custom blurgs. And now the challenge is out there to Tim, right? We've got to get Boss Bounty to get his own custom TVC blurg. Come on, Tim. You got to make it happen.
You guys should breed him. You guys could breed him if he gets one.
There you go. There you go. So appreciate that.
You
XWing. That
could
was
live
great.
stream that.
It would be great. I think that that's a really good point, Imagic Maker. I need to get hold of only one Kenobi and Tim, Boss Bounty, and the three of us do a live stream about TVC blurgs. That'd be great.
Of the blurgs mating.
Who's beeping?
Jason.
Oh, I think it's a trash truck. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Episode 6 of Andor. Imagic Maker, I don't think I've allowed you yet to fully express where you are on it.
No, I liked it. It was definitely good. I'm definitely getting into the series. I feel good. I have high optimism for the rest of the series.
Excellent. So we're all enjoy what we've seen. Oh, here, I'm just going to show this. This is the X-Wing had this made by Star Killer Customs. Star Killer Customs is where that came from. Now, like X-Wing said, this has been close to a year that he had this on order. Was not a quick process by any means. The outcome, absolutely worth it. But if you guys are curious, Star Killer 3D Customs is where that comes from. There you go. All right.
Good work, clearly. Pretty good work.
Yeah. Really good work. Really good work.
But Meg also brought up, she's like, why do we think it's the show is underperforming? And I actually haven't followed that, Meg. Like, have we seen anything concrete where we know where it's at in terms of how it is performing? I haven't really heard anything.
I think it was Star Wars Holocron on Twitter who kind of put out like a full list of the hottest like streaming things, and it was like number 5, which is pretty low for a Star Wars show, considering Book of Boba and Mando completely dominated when they were out. So.
Well,
there's only so many autistic nerds like myself. So,
well, I think a couple of weeks ago I saw something come out. She-Hulk was getting more views than Andor.
But it finished today, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And
I think today was the finale.
And they made a point in that article pointing out that the cumulative time, She-Hulk had been out a couple more weeks than Andor. And the cumulative watch hours had more lead-in time.
That's a weird metric because some shows are like 25 minutes and some are like an hour. It's such a weird metric to use.
Yeah, but it's tough. It's something I think the industry as a whole needs to kind of evolve around. With streaming content, it's really difficult to know. It's not like, I think Nielsen ratings, they've kind of tried to figure it out with viewers, but it's not like they can with a lot of the broadcast television and know what are people watching when, because you can watch it whenever, right? You don't know how many TVs were turned on to this station at 10 p.m.
Yeah. I wonder if Andor is going to suffer from not having sequences. Like, we did get a sequence this time where it was like robbing the base, but like when Mando 2 came out, I love that first opening with the dragon, with the great dragon battle and stuff. And like I watched it the first time to watch it. I watched it the second time because I was like, I was watching everything twice, so I watched it again. And I watched it like a third and fourth time because that dragon fight was cool. And I'm like, and like this show doesn't really give us that, but that last like this. I would watch that last episode to see like the eye because it looked really cool. Yeah. Like I would probably check that out again. But before this, there hasn't really been a lot to visually go back and just be like, I want to see that cool moment again. And it's not a knock on the quality of the show at all, but it can be construed as such.
Well,
I think it's the most rewatchable of all of the shows. Personally.
Agreed, 100%. Absolutely, it's by far the most rewatchable for many.
I am rewatching it a lot, so I'm sort of contradicting myself, but it doesn't have that like for us the hardcores maybe like, and I've liked that I could go back like when you watch the last 3 episodes, or the previous 2 episodes, the guy who's the I don't know, the Judas, not the Judas, but the guy who's just trying to rob him, tattoo guy whose name I can't remember. That guy, Skeen. When you watch all the episodes now, you see that Skeen is clearly like manipulating Andor the entire time. He's dropping bad things about everybody the entire time, and maybe he likes the radical boy who wrote the manifesto. Maybe he likes him, maybe he doesn't. It's kind of up in the air. but I've enjoyed it from that perspective of rewatching that for that. But that's like people who watch shows only with people with capes. I don't know if that's going to apply to them, is what I'm trying to say.
Magic Maker, you wanted to say something?
I agree that it's immensely rewatchable. I have enjoyed it when I go back and rewatch it. So, it gives me an opportunity to pick up the subtle details that are in there, and so I find myself being more engrossed in the story the second time through versus like I have the story and now I'm just going, oh, this is fun to watch. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I missed that. That's actually really important. And so I find, and again, that's kind of the nerdy watch, but it's still, I find it more engrossing. And I think that's the intrigue that I'm finding more intrigue and more detail and more things that appeal to the Star Wars nerd in it. But that said, I think that, when we're talking about numbers and everything as we're watching cumulative numbers, I think they have the ability, and I think that Disney Plus does know how many people are watching and different things. I think that, and so maybe Nielsen doesn't know the exact details of what it is, but they know what shows are being watched and when, and they know what's going out and sure. When you're watching your stuff, and so there's some analytical nerd on the backside who's going to release and figure out details for the next series or whatever. I mean, this would be kind of the thing I would love to do, but taking all the data and trying to come up with a psychological response so that you can figure out how to put something out, for maximum viewership. But I think there's absolutely those kind of people that do that.
Yeah, and I think you're right that was part of what influenced the delay of Andor. And you talked about this before, that they're doing it to maximize subscribers and resubscriptions. People who, and I just noticed, like, when I first got my Disney Plus subscription, I bought the 3-year package where it was like a whole year's for free. And that comes up for me next month. November 8th or something like that. So my renewal's just now coming up. So I'm absolutely sure that they're looking at those kind of, when our subscriptions coming to an end, how do we release to maximize the resubscribing and that kind of thing. I wanted to bring up another.
I've heard you say that before, and I think you're right in terms of they wish they were that good. I don't think they can make any dates in the world to make any of that actually come true. I think I think they would try. I don't think they have control over any of it. It's all chaos.
You might be right. Yeah, because it is an industry in its infancy. So even with what we've seen, I want to bring up another thing that Meg kind of brought up, and it had to do with Nemec's manifesto, right? Nemec's manifesto.
Mickey Mouse.
Do you think that manifesto is going to become a rallying cry to anybody? It's going to become something that gets passed around and becomes something more?
Depends what's in it. If it's I'm just being a bit facetious and joking here, but it could have been just anything. It could be sexual doodles he drew at 3 a.m. But if it is what Vel implies it is, then I definitely think it's going to be something that gets passed around. Maybe even get into the hands of Mon Mothma and Bail, and who knows, maybe just like Reva is the reason Luke survived. Maybe the rebellion's all thanks to Nemec, who sounds like everyone I grew up with.
It's going to say, Chapter 1, Happy Hallow Skiing. I think there should be a holiday for skiing because he's my best friend. They're just like, what is this? No, I don't think so. No. It's kind of it does sort of make Andor really even more interesting though, in a way too. Like, if he's kind of the reason that this doctrine survived, not only is he the guy who ends up getting Luke up to the T-ball to hit the home run for the Death Star, kind of just sets it all up for him. You also have him where if he brings it that doctrine, and it's the reason that it survives. That's like another kind of like cool check mark for him as well. Because it's kind of the guy who writes the stuff is always kind of boring, but if he's the guy who gets it to everyone, and I'm kind of curious if he's just going to take it to Ferrix, and it's just going to kind of get passed around, and then it's going to kind of like become like back in the day when you used to write a zine, and then people would just start photocopying the zine and sharing it around. I'm kind of wondering if it's good if they're going to do something kind of like that with it. Like, how is this gonna move?
Well,
It has
that's what
it has to. They didn't set that up, and I also don't think, though, at the same time that Vel. I don't think he said give this to Andor. Do you guys think that? I think Vel knew if he read it, she knew because he kind of has a good heart. It would radicalize him. I think Vel was doing a manipulative action that she just came up with on the moment, hoping that he does read it on the pot one day and then it comes back to help.
So, Jason,
Right.
what do you think? What do you think's the first line of Nemec's manifesto? If you had to guess, the first sentence, what would it be?
Nemec, note to self: girls won't date you unless you seem involved and radical and cool. So go to community college and say this stuff, and then it goes on from there. Andor was not supposed to publish that part, but he asked them.
Robert Sinclair says, page 1, I'm dead. Andor killed prison tattoo guy. It's like Nostradamus, right? Like,
I mean, it is a pretty cool rap song for him, though, that he robbed that thing and then got crushed by all the money. Like, that's kind of cool when you think about it. That's some pretty big street cred.
I really hope the last page has P.S. Palpatine is Darth Sidious.
I do find it, and Sheev, our good friend, posted in here that it could have been, it solidifies Cassian's belief in the cause. And as you were talking, Jason, that where was the Vel? There it is, Planet Fitness. It seemed like Vel gave it to him for the purpose of perhaps solidifying his devotion to the cause, because we already saw Cassian say, hey, I just want my paycheck and a ship and I'm out of here, right? I don't want your money. I'm not here to take all your money, and I killed the dude that did, right?
Okay, what if it's like chapter 3, when doing a heist, always at the end make a funny joke so that way everybody could calm down and be cool. Like, hey, what if we took all the money for ourselves and left them here? And then you laugh, and then you don't do that. And that's what he said. And so Skeen read it, and then Skeen was just doing what he read in the thing, and then he kills him. Then Andor figures it out, and he feels really bad.
Like, that's not cool, bro.
You know what? I'm going to call up Tony Gilroy and tell him my ideas right now.
So Cassian, yeah, I thought we're really seeing the context of at the beginning of Rogue One when Cassian kills the dude, and it's very shocking, right? You never saw anybody in Star Wars just shoot somebody in the back and kill them like that.
And you know what's
Han
cool?
Solo and Greedo definitely never happened.
No, not like shoot him in the back, like your buddy Solo and Greedo. That was different, right? Like that was a confrontation.
Cassian.
Yeah, that was under the table. Totally different.
Cassian kills people like in the shadows. Like,
It wasn't under
Cassian
the
kills
table.
people
You didn't shoot him in
like-
the dick.
True story, Meg. As a kid, me and my best buddy Ryan were watching the original like pan and scan version of Star Wars before the special editions, and we're like, does he shoot him under the table? How does he? Where does he shoot him? Like, we could not figure it out. Like, it was so weirdly made. That's why even though people fight about that Han Greedo stuff to this day, I was always like, that stuff was always filmed poorly. Like, they always should have redid it right.
Yeah,
But-
he is pulling the blaster from his hip under the table and shoots Greedo in the chest. How does it?
Yeah.
What's that line of fire look like?
Magic
and why
bullet.
is it there a hole in the table?
Yeah, it's really weird. It's
But
weird.
no, it's just Han and Greedo. That was an adversarial kind of thing. Cassian and the guy at the beginning of Rogue One, they were on the same side. They weren't fighting. They weren't. There was no threat, right?
He knew what was at stake when he signed up for this. That's what
Right,
what Andor would say.
He kills him
It
because
sounds
he's
like Watto.
Yeah, I know, right? That was more of a Watto. The Jedi.
They just cut the part where they said, "You do have your cyanide tooth, right?" No. Boom.
Boom. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought it was shocking to see Cassian kill somebody on his side, shoot him in the back like that at the beginning of Rogue One.
I still don't see it as being like as evil as like the internet does. Like in a lot of ways, I think he had to like do it. I don't think it was like just I'm done with you now. It was like they're gonna torture you to death. You're already dead. I'm actually what I'm doing is to save all of the people back at Yavin, and this is going to be a better death for you. It might have
So
been
let's
sort of
look at
sympathetic.
the three instances
No,
we've seen Cassian execute somebody like that.
I think I agree. I think it's a merciful killing. He knows that what's going to come is worse. You know, this guy seems like he has a family as well. So he's like, you know, if they think that you're a traitor and this is all happening this way, not only are they going to get you, but everybody that's associated with you, people that you love. So I'm actually saving. You know, you may not want to die in this moment, but if you thought about it, you would think that it was the better of the two.
Right. I see Cassian being practical on all three of those. The guy at the very beginning of the series, right? Episode 1, when he kills the guy, he's like, I have to do this. Boom, you're dead. And it's the decision's based off of practicality. Like this is the best solution for the problem we're in. And then you see the same thing in this episode 6. Right, he's talking to the dude, and he's like, "You're a slime ball, and you're poison to this group. I could just walk away and take my stuff and let them work it out, or I'm going to help you out." Boom, right? And
No, that was as soon as he revealed himself. Like if he hadn't killed him, I mean, like that's against this whole thing. Because as soon as this guy gets an opportunity, he's going to shoot them in the back, and he just revealed himself. The only reason why he revealed himself is if he said it straight up. Well, you know, I need you because I can't fly this thing. He said it right off the bat. Like I can't kill you because I need you to fly. So that means when he got him there, he was going to kill him. And it was like, you're like, well, thank you for revealing your hand. So now I'm just going to shoot you. And I can take it. And I can take it myself if I want.
And if what would have happened if you left Skeen alive? Said just walk, get out of here. Skeen would have then flipped. So there was actually no other option in that thing other than to kill him.
yeah, so good. I love all of it.
I mean, Skeen would have flipped to the Empire and turned him in. Is what I meant to say.
I don't know if he would have turned to the Empire, but he would have definitely been a risk, as Imagic Maker said, of killing all of them in their sleep or shooting them in the back or whatever the case might be. Right. It reminds me of the end of Solo, right? Han Solo figures out, and he shoots first, right? What's the dude's name that he shot? Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
That's his
he
name.
shoots. That's the actor.
He's such a great character, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
He shoots him because he realizes he's going to shoot me. And
Friend of Captain Wesley Snipes.
Then he says that as he's dying. He says that I would have shot you.
Oh, Tobias Beckett.
Tobias.
There you go. Beckett. Yes, exactly. So the second half of the season, we've seen from the trailers, it looks like there's going to be lots of action. The complaints on the first half about the slow burn and the build up, do you think that wait, before I ask that question, you see where it's going, but do you think it would have been a smart move for them to release these in 3 episode drops? So the first 3 that they did, and then just drop the second 3 together, and then 3 and 4, right? There's 4 3-episode arcs in it. Would they have been better to do it in a period of 4 release dates, and they wouldn't even have to be weekly per se.
Monthly.
They
I
could-
say monthly. I say
No, that's exactly right.
I'd
That's
say
exactly
annually.
what I would do. I would have dropped the first three, waited a couple of weeks, let the talk spin up, go, hey, it's kind of slow, let the She-Hulk finish out, and then drop the next three, and then I would play out the next six with the expectation that they're going to be more intense than the previous ones. I'd have done them weekly. And with that, you'd have been like, holy crap, now I'm into the story and you're only releasing it one at a time?
Right. And I hear you. What about season? So they haven't done that. Season 2, each 3 stories is supposed to be a year.
Yeah, that
I don't
would
know.
be
I
a good-
quite like the
think-
weekly format. I just think because we live in an age where everyone gives up on things too soon. It's like with The Mandalorian season 2. After, like, chapter 9 was seen really well by the fandom. People love the Crate Dragon and everything. And then chapter 10 with Frog Lady, and you had literal Star Wars YouTubers just checking out. They're like, oh, it's terrible. So, patience.
Well, maybe you should watch Star Wars then as intro and stay for the show. And-
I thought the intro was the show. This is the post-show. I've got post-show clarity.
This is why I've been picking on EBN, because Meg picks on me. I'm like, oh wait, I need to deflect. If you think I'm bad, go listen to their show. The pre-show. Now that Matt Risman has clarified, they have a pre-show show
Pre-show
that
show.
leads to the introduction to the actual show. Yeah,
Which is only 2 minutes long.
which is only exactly. So good. Anything else? What I was going to ask is, second part of the season, we had complaints of slow build up. Do you think we're going to continue to see that pattern in, like, say 7 and 8 will be slow paced, 9 will be quicker paced, 10, 11 slow paced?
No, I think at this point we're moving.
This trajectory.
I think we're moving at this point in time. I think it's going to get. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like super high speed yet. I think the final arc will be fast paced, but I think it's going to be around the same pace that we saw in this one. I mean, so I think we're going to only ramp up from here.
How fast can 2 episodes in a prison really be, though? So I kind of like, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, I think it's gonna be the same, but the stakes will be higher. Like, it's more involved, and if you're already, I think, have the previous momentum of the series behind you, I think that it may work. But I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be like I said, like if we have 2 episodes in a prison. I don't know. I think it's gonna be this. I think if the people who are finding it are slow so far, I don't think they're gonna find it faster. Personally, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be sitting, in one cell for 2 entire episodes.
No, it's going to be like passing around stuff, because I think he needs to talk to somebody in the prison, but they can't speak. They're not allowed to speak, and so it's good. But what I'm saying is, I think that it's going to be very involved, and I think if you're into it, it won't feel slow. But I think if you're like waiting for things to explode, I'm wondering if the explosion that we see in the trailer is what we're going to get. When he hits that thing, I'm kind of wondering. I mean, it kind of feels to me like that's where it's going to go. What do you think, Meg? You think it's going to?
So the whole show should have been called Edging, a Star Wars story.
Hey, new Blink song. You happy? I think you're happy.
That's why I thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming on all of us tomorrow.
Less than 24 hours, Santa. You ready?
Back to your point, I think Jason's right. I do think it's going to be quite slow at times, but that's okay, because if it's well written and it's a good story, then just let it happen organically. But you said there are 2 episodes in a prison. Is that something you revealed, or do we know this for sure?
I have a source on the on the show, and they believed the prison stuff took place over 2 episodes. Is what
No,
they,
I think that's right. I mean, but I think it ends one episode and then begins the next episode.
Well, here's what I'm wondering, because what I noticed in episode 6 is that it was almost, well, the bulk of it was one storyline. We just had Cassian in the heist. A very short bit with Mon Mothma in it, in the Senate. But we have these different storylines building. We've got Cassian now post heist. The prison scene's coming. Mon Mothma, and she's got her dinner party at some point, and more stuff going on at the Senate. We heard in that this was going to, that the series was going to show us more of Mon Mothma's story arc, and I don't know that we've gotten much of that. We also then have the deal with Cyril and what's her name that I can never remember. The ISB agent.
Oh, I was thinking Edie Karn. I'm like, Edie Karn.
Dedra Moreau?
Dedra, yeah. We've got all of these story arcs that have been kind of set up or started, and I think they're going to continue to build. So I lean closer to a Magic Maker on where we're headed, because we have a lot of story arcs that have been planted, and they've been fertilized, and they've been watered, and we're going to start to see those grow. And as those grow, we're going to get more and more of that packed into an episode,
Right.
versus just like watching them.
Was
in
it
the middle of the
fertilized with
night.
little blurt poops?
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I just think that as these story arcs, blossom and they come to, that it's going to pack tighter into an episode, and you won't end up with the episodes that are so heavily focused on people kind of sitting around, plotting, discussing, all of this kind of thing that we had in the first two story arcs. Those started off with a lot of exposition, a lot of planning and thoughtfulness going on. I think they're going to just get compressed into over time as we get more and more of those stories compressed into a show. They're going to move at a much quicker rate. So that's where I feel like we're headed.
You're saying you think it's going to be like busier because of the disparate plot threads that it has to not
Exactly.
forget. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to get those.
We
stories
are in a
compressed.
falling action, so the intensity of the main character is going to drop off. So that
Yep.
part is going to be somewhat slower, but we're building toward the Darkest Night, which is because that kicks off the climax. Right after the Darkest Night occurs, we have to be set up for the climax. And that begins the total rising action. So because we haven't developed that prior, this is all going to start occurring as we move toward Andor's Darkest Night. So as we get toward the third piece, that's what's going to set up the climax and go.
A little coaching for you, Magic Maker. Never say the word climax when Meg is on a live stream. Just
Yeah,
don't
my
do
brain just went elsewhere.
It's like, oh no, he said that 3 times. Oh no.
Maybe it's purposeful. I mean,
Who doesn't
I
want
mean,
to climax times over Andor?
right? And and earlier she was talking about her Ray.
I kept imagining Andor with like eyeliner on. He's like, "It's my darkest night." It's like a pure emo Andor. It's a darkest night.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
I wonder if his breastplate has nipples when you say darkest night.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
now
my
you
goodness.
did it. Now we're talking nipples and climax. You set off Meg for the rest of the day.
I wonder if Bix would like this one. And he put it on. He's like,
Oh no. Oh, what have we done? Anything else? Andor, the second half of the season, before we close out the show?
well, look, one little question. Do you guys think we're gonna go from like sort of a setup episode into the prison arc, then back to Ferrex, and Scarif might be in there and somewhere in the middle because we're pretty sure it is. Me and Mesman Bulletin are fairly certain it is based off of those photos that we had back in the day. So do you think we're gonna go prison, Scarif, Ferrex to sort of liberate Ferrex, so to speak, to break them out to let people get off the planet, so under the Imperial occupation? Or how do you guys think that's going to go? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out in my head lately.
What's the next story arc? What's the next three?
Yeah, how do we think it's going to unfold? Like the rest of the general, like three. We have like 2 arcs left, right? What do we think like those are? Do we think it's like?
No, I'm just going to kind of modify your question a little bit to say, what's the next 3-story arc? What is it? Is it the deal there with Saul Guerrera? Is that the next 3-story arc? Or do we wait to get that in the last 3-story arc? Is the prison in the next 3-story arc? What is the next 3-story arc?
I think that's the same question Jason said.
Yeah,
he made it better.
But I think Matt Rissman put it best when he said Saul Guerrero is probably only just going to appear briefly at the end.
Yeah, my theory is that, because I heard that it like there is that Stardust connection. They don't know what it is, but to the prison stuff that they're trying to figure out, and that he's hired to go to get arrested, get into the prison, and then get some kind of info. And I'm thinking he's going to get the info, and then the info is going to take him to Saw Gerrera, which is going to take them to Scarif, and then finally, with all of the weapons that they've now acquired, they liberate the planet. That's what I think it's going to do.
I think that's really, really good prediction, because Saw Gerrera in Rebels is very much like tracking down every little crumb of evidence about these Kyber fueled projects that the Empire's working on.
It's true. He even shoots it.
Yeah. I think Planet Fitness is correct here as well. Cyril and Deidre getting connected. I think that's the next thing coming.
I disagree.
Yeah, they actually said the opposite.
Yeah, they said it's going to be season 2 and right at the end of season 1. I wouldn't count on it being the next 3 episodes. It'll be the final arc.
Santa wrong.
Yeah. We'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I'm curious about where Cyril's going to end up. I think it's funny that Cyril's eating cereal all the time.
But, yeah, me too. I loved it. I was like, is anybody else seeing this? Is anybody else seeing this right now?
But you touched on the Kyber bit, right? If his ship is powered by Kyber, and I was rewatching again. The rewatchability of this show is tremendous, and Cassian just straight up asked, "What is this ship being powered by?" It's like nothing I've ever seen before, and then he just skirts the question, doesn't answer it. But if it is being powered by Kyber, which we suspect because of the energy rays that come out of it in the trailer, looks like Kyber powered beams.
The Sangatons are built of Kyber. That's what he's gonna say. Put it in.
Yeah, they could be. It could be. Oh, Matt Risman. I love where he's going here. Right. It could be. Krennic fooled him into working on the Stardust project initially. Tie back into the.
Galen Erso.
Yeah.
It's Novak who said, "Could Galen Erso have designed the ship?" Very possible.
Right. And you go back to those novels, Rebel Rising, I think is the novel. It's absolutely a great precursor to this show, and I love that. I love the idea that it could tie back to Krennic. Love it.
No, I think it probably will. I think it'd be interesting. We've already had that little touch of the Rakatan Empire that was dropped in there, and I think it'd be interesting to find out that what they're using is Rakatan technology actually, and that's what's been brought forward. I think that would be kind of fun. I don't know if they'll go there, but it'd be fun if they did.
Very good.
And,
Very good.
and,
We have a Mike Porter dad joke to close out. You can't miss the Mike Porter dad joke. Not Star Wars related, but I think it lands very well. That's another real good one. It says, why couldn't the customers at the pub get a drink? Because the bartender with lofty goals kept raising the bar. Raising the bar.
All you had to do was write Cantina, and then it would have been a Star Wars joke. Come on, Mike Porter, getting lazy.
It could have been a cantina.
Yes.
Why couldn't
Come
the
on.
customers in the cantina get a
And then just say Hammerhead. Why couldn't Hammerhead in the cantina? Come on, Mike Porter. Lazy.
It reminds me, there is a restaurant in one of these tourist kind of cities where the table in the middle is on a very slow pneumatic rise. And when you sit at the table, it's regular table height. But over the course of like 45 minutes, it raises like a foot. And so you watch it on like time delay, and people are, they sit there and they're eating over time.
Why?
Yeah, what's
It's
the
so
point?
gradual. Well, at the end, they're like eating. The plates are like, up here. It's hilarious.
Is that how you get people to go? Like it's time for you to get out? Like you
Is
should
it like
be done by now?
is it a Weight Watchers tool?
It's like an inside joke that everybody knows this one table has it. And
Oh, okay.
you can
Oh,
you
it's just
can
one
watch.
table. I thought
Yeah.
they all had it. Oh, I see.
No. It's one table, so it's an inside joke. It's a prank that happens,
That's what Galaxy's Edge should do, because they just try to get you out that cantina. They're like, go. Like, are you done yet? I'm like, you haven't even brought it yet. They're like, are you ready to leave? Like, they kick you out. But if your thing kept going up, you'd be like, well, it's time to go.
Time to go.
Now that I think of it, Galaxy's Edge does sound like really dirty fan fiction.
Yeah.
Just the name.
I knew we were going back there because of earlier comment. But I was like, oh no. He said
Jason,
Edge.
I want to know if you know the answer to this, because you've mentioned him a few times, but very few Star Wars fans actually know his name. Do you know Hammerhead's real name?
MoMA Naden?
Yeah,
Yeah. MoMA.
you aced that.
I knew Ad Action Figure. That was in the 1997 line, so that's why I know that name.
There you go. The community. Why couldn't Hammerhead get another drink? He was too hammered.
All right. That's the Snaggle truth.
All right.
Truth.
All right. With that, I
Blue
think
or
we're
red?
going to do the short outro today. I'm just going to let the show end. Jason, you're doing a live stream this afternoon with Rob.
1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will be talking about Deidre and what's his name's vanilla sex that Baymax brought up. Because I think it's going to start there, and I think it's going to get weird, because I think she would get weird eventually.
yes.
I think so too.
The Magic Maker.
And Meg's
Fingers
going to
go
finish the
places.
climax.
Exactly. A Magic Maker. We were talking before the show. You've been editing a video for the longest time. How close are you to
Yes.
being finished to publish another video on
Yeah, stop
reimagining
edging
Star
us, bud. Finish.
I'm like a third through, but I've been going on it for like 2 weeks now. I just
Yes, you
keep
have.
reworking
You
it.
have.
It's ridiculous.
You just can't
I am
stop.
edging it. I'm right at the edge.
Oh no. Meg, of course, thank you for your video today. It was very thoughtful.
No climax for you.
I enjoyed it greatly. Any preview for what you're covering tomorrow?
Good question. I have got something planned and I can't remember what it is.
Ahmed
I think it's
Best?
Andor. I usually give like a day between my breakdown and talking about spoilers for Andor, but I definitely think I'm going to cover the Ahmed Best thing.
That would,
Absolutely.
I was hoping you would. It's a good story. It's a tweet, and he may be trolling all of us, but for especially somebody like Meg who enjoys the prequel so much, big part of
He's not trolling us. He's jar jarring us all.
There you go. That Meg is look. That's what kind of you grew up on, the prequels, and I'm looking forward to hear your take on that. So,
In Spanish, is his name Har?
har. Oh.
Am I just getting a joke that George Lucas put in like years ago? Am I dumb?
Well, I don't think those are exclusive, Jason. You could be dumb
Okay.
and no.
That's fair.
Well, you know,
That's right.
All right.
That's with his brother Jardy.
I thought his brother was Jojo Bonks.
Okay, I'm ending it. That's
Bye.
it. You're
Bye,
all cut
buddy.
off.
Bye, Magic Maker. Bye,
All
Mary.
right,
Bye, Santa. Bye,
until next time, my friends. May the
But in
force be with
Spanish,
you
that'd be
always.
ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry
Ho, ho,
Christmas,
winks.
everybody.
Ho, ho,